classify female reproductive system into two. One is called primary sex organ and the one is secondary sex organ. Primary sex organ is ovary. Why primary sex organ is ovary? Why we call it primary sex organ? Because oogenesis is produced, oogenesis occurs inside ovary. Ovary is intra-abdominal or extra-abdominal. So unlike testis, it is intra-abdominal. It is intra-abdominal. That means it never needs any less temperature to make oogenesis, which we have seen that happens in case of testis. Testis remains where? Inside the scrotum, which is extra-abdominal, and they have got dartos muscles which can reduce the temperature of the testis by minimum 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. Now, in oogenesis, we have seen that the first cell, which is called as oogonium, is called as oogonium. Oogonium, it by the process of mitosis is gives rise to primary oocyte. Primary oocyte, by the process of meiosis, it forms into one polar body and one secondary oocyte. This secondary oocyte, by the process of meiosis 2, give rise to one ootid and one polar body, and from that polar body it forms into two polar bodies. So ultimately 3 polar body gets degenerated and one ootid ultimately forms into ovum. Now there is a slight twist in this particular term called secondary oocyte and ovum. So the one which gets liberated out from the Graafian follicle, Graafian follicle fete jeta beroy seta ki ovum na secondary oocyte. It is secondary oocyte and it remains in an arrested phase of prophase. Fine? And it ultimately comes out of this arrested phase when a sperm meets with the ovum. Fine? Now, when we are talking about female reproductive system, we have to talk about what comes immediately in mind, Varun, when we talk about female reproductive system. What are the organs which comes in the mind immediately? First is ovary and the one is uterus. Ovary and uterus. But today we are going to talk about something. So it's a lower part of the body which contains ovary and uterus. But it starts from the upper part of the body which is called hypothalamus. Which is called hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. So let us start with this. So the female body or the male body, the reproductive organ basically starts from hypothalamus. It starts from hypothalamus. From hypothalamus, we know there is a hypophyseal stalk. 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 So if this is hypothalamus, this is hypothalamus. If this is hypothalamus, so what is the location of it? What is the location of it? Say this is the brain, this is the brain, this is the central nervous system, and this is the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord. Fine. And there are two structures like this, and the structure like this. This is cerebellum, pons. Fine. Medulla. This is cerebellum, and the place where it is present, hypothalamus position is present over here, and this is the structure. The same structure we have drawn over here. Fine. So there is a nucleus inside. There is a nucleus inside the hypothalamus, which we call it as arcuate nucleus. We call it as arcuate nucleus. Fine. And they have got some neural cells. They have got some neuronal cells. And these neuronal cells, they secrete some secretion which can pass through a particular vascular tissues. And these vascular tissues ultimately comes over here. Say this is okay. Let us make this one as a vascular tissues. And this is anterior pituitary gland. This is anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland. And this one is posterior pituitary gland. This one is posterior pituitary gland. See, nose is present over here. That means this is anterior one. This is posterior one. Clear? Posterior pituitary gland. From anterior pituitary gland, there is a secretion which takes place. Tell me, hypothalamus, it secretes mainly a hormone called GnRH. What is the full form? Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. It helps in release of some hormone from the anterior pituitary gland. And what is this stalk? This whole stalk is called hypophyseal stalk. This whole stalk is called hypophyseal stalk. Ball to clear it. Fine. So this GnRH is going to act upon anterior pituitary gland and help in the secretion of two hormones. One is FSH and the one is LH. So basically it helps in the formation of gonadotropins. Gonadotropins. Is this clear? So FSH and LH. What is the full form of FSH? Follicle stimulating hormone. What is the form of LH? Luteinizing hormone. A2 clear. So whenever female reproductive system comes in our mind, we cannot always think about ovary and uterus. We have to start our journey from hypothalamus. Clear? Hypothalamus, it signals GnRH, it gives GnRH. GnRH is going to act upon anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland is going to secrete gonadotropins. These are FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Are you clear? Any issues about this? What is the nucleus called in the hypothalamus? Arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus. Arcuate, why? It's arced. Fine? It's arced. Now, what are the other functions of hypothalamus? Ritam, give me one example of one particular functions of hypothalamus. We have already completed this in class 11. Tell me, function of hypothalamus. It acts as a hunger center. It acts as an osmoregulatory center. It acts as a temperature regulation of the body. It helps in change in the mood. It controls the emotions. These are the functions of hypothalamus. And we are talking about sexual activity. Talks about emotion. So journey starts from hypothalamus. Any issues about this? Chalo. Galo, next. Yeah. Sure. Next is about, okay, what is the point of action of FSH? FSH is having all the points with ovary. It has got role directly with ovary. So the primary sex organ is ovary. So let's talk about ovary. Let's talk about ovary. This is ovary, and inside ovary, there are two portions of the ovary. This portion is called stroma. And this is cortex. The upper part is cortex. I think you know adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. So inside there is a stroma. What is so very special in stroma? Stroma contains blood vessels. क्या रहता है stroma में? They contain blood vessels. So this is artery and this is vein. The blue colored is vein. So this is vein. Okay? The blue colored is vein. So when we talk about the blood vessels, that means there are two friends always. They remain together. The two friends are what? One is blood vessel, which is always associated with the nerve. They are always associated with the nerve. Clear? So there are nerves present with the blood vessels. In the cortex region, what happens? Normally we know that inside cortex there is a structure which we call it as primordial follicle. What is this structure? This structure is called primordial follicle. This primary follicle, it grows and makes and changes into a cuboidal. See, these are flattened cells present over here. Primordial follicle is lined by flattened cells. But these flattened cells, they become cuboidal. Understanding is very important, Baba. No need to mug it up. So what happens? This becomes cuboidal, and this is the particular primordial follicle nucleus. Now we can call this as primary follicle. We can call this as primary follicle. So FSH starts working on primary follicle and changes primary follicle into secondary follicle. So what are these cells? Now these cells are cuboidal like structures. And FSH acts on this primary follicle. So tell me how primordial follicle can change into primary follicle. They can grow automatically. How many such primary follicle in a single month in the menstrual cycle? How many primordial follicle can start this kind of growth? 10 to 15 number in a single month. 10 to 15 number of primordial follicles. Secondary follicle. Clear? Any issues with this? Come on. So FSH কার উপরে কাজ করবে? FSH প্রথমে কাজ করবে with the primary follicle and try to change this one. This is going to grow into next level. Come on. What is the next level? The next level is, this is a particular secondary follicle, but this secondary follicle is having what? The secondary follicle is completely covered by cells like what are these cells now? These cells are now called as zona pellucida layer. Zona pellucida layer. But this zona pellucida layer, outside zona pellucida layer, there is what? There are some theca cells, and in between the theca cells, what is present? You can see a gap, and this gap is called antrum. This gap is called antrum, and this is what is happening in secondary follicle. Secondary follicle ki ache? At a fluid filled cavity ache, which is called as antrum. And what are the cells called? These cells are called thecal cells. Theca. So what kind of theca are present? They are external theca present. So the development now is occurring by the action of FSH on primary follicle. Clear? The primary follicle कहाँ से release हुआ? It got released from anterior pituitary gland, not hypothalamus. Hypothalamus releases GnRH. It acts upon anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland is going to start secreting FSH and LH. The point of action of this FSH is going to be on inside ovary. Which part? Primary follicle. It's going to change this primary follicle into secondary follicle, and these are just the membrane of this particular follicle is called zona pellucida. It's called zona. Outside they have got thecal cells, and these thecal cells can grow in such a fashion that they have got some antrum, a cavity called antrum, and this is secondary follicle. This is now called as secondary follicle. Any issues with this? Now, what is going to happen? This antrum, this particular thecal cells, they are again going to be acting on. So, this secondary follicle is going to be acted upon by the FSH, and this FSH is going to make the structure like this. See, this is the follicle, and this follicle is now called as the secondary oocyte, having zona pellucida, and outside they have got these kind of thecal cells, which we call it as, this is the first layer, and then there is a second layer. There is a second layer which is going to get formed. This is a second layer having antrum cavity, called antrum cavity, and this particular membrane of this thecal cell is now called as membrana granulosa. It's called as membrana granulosa. Mind you, when we talk about this membrana granulosa, this secondary follicle is going to ultimately change into a follicle called Graafian follicle. So what is this layer called? Membrana granulosa. What is this cavity called? Antrum. Fine. This secondary oocyte can be present like this. We can make it like this. Say, what is this stalk? This stalk is made up of, this stalk is made up of a structure, a special type of cells called cumulus oophorus, which is also called as discus proligerus. Cumulus oophorus or discus proligerus. This is the stalk which is called as like that. There is a cavity. What is the cavity called? Sorry, this is the cavity. What is this cavity called? The cavity is called antrum. The cavity is called antrum. Now, over here there is the membrane. What is the membrane called? Membrana granulosa. So this is membrana granulosa. And it can form 17B estradiol. It can form 17B estradiol. What is it? It's a estrogen. It's the chemical name of estrogen. It is the chemical name of estrogen. It is the chemical name of estrogen. So estrogen कहाँ से बनता है? Estrogen is formed from membrana granulosa. Fine, membrana granulosa forms estrogen. And mind you, estrogen is a type of steroid hormone. And steroid hormone is nothing but the derivative of cholesterol. It's the derivative of cholesterol. Who makes this cholesterol? The thecal cells makes, you know, in higher studies when you become doctors, find you the thecal cells makes androgens basically. Androgens. And these androgens are changed into estrogen. Fine, by the enzyme. By an enzyme. That means, what is the source of estrogen in female? What is the source? And when is this Graafian follicle is going to start forming in? What? During a stage called menarche. What is menarche? Menstruation plus arche. Arche means what? Arche means onset. Onset of menstrual cycle. Onset of menstrual cycle is called menstruation. Onset of menstrual cycle is called menarche. It takes place at the age of 10 to 13 years in female. 10 to 13 years in female. Sometimes it can take place a little bit earlier, 9 to 11, and that is called precocious puberty. Ball, it clear ache? Kono oshubidha ache? Got the idea how Graafian follicle makes this estrogen? Now, so think about it. Let's get back over here. So, estrogen is formed from the ovary. Which part of the ovary? From the Graafian follicle is the state where from membrana granulosa it makes 17B estradiol, which is the chemical name of estrogen. And estrogen helps in all the feminine secondary sexual characteristics in females. Second characters in males. কি নাম আসছে? क्या नाम आ रहा है? Something wrong, I think. देखो फोन टा बेर कर. Just have a look whether it's going on. Okay. Now, 17B estradiol, estrogen. So estrogen is produced by the membrana granulosa cells, and estrogen helps in all the development of secondary sexual characteristics in females. Clear? What are secondary sexual characteristics in females? Development of mammary glands, number 1. Number 2, development of mammary glands, number 2, high pitched voice. In case of male it was low pitched voice made by testosterone. Third, development of smooth skin, emotional well-being, narrow shoulder and broad waist due to the deposition of fats in the hip region. So that is, and presence of hairs in pubic region, axilla, that is armpit. Now, this is done by estrogen. Now, if we see if we see that a menstrual cycle is having how many phases? A menstrual cycle is having how many phases? A menstrual cycle starts from 0, ends with 28 plus minus 2 days. Plus minus 2 days. That means it's not like every month that it's going to occur at the same timing. It can occur at 20th day or it can occur at 34th day. Clear? So any time in between menstruation can occur. But mind you, in the middle, if it is a 28-day cycle, the ovulation is going to occur. The ovulation is going to occur on 14th day. On 14th day, approximately 14th day. So midday or mid-cycle. Ovulation, we call this phase as ovulatory phase. We call this phase as ovulatory phase. Throughout the day, this is happening. This is what is happening right now. Have you drawn all this? Now I have to switch it off. It got hanged. Something wrong has happened again. Chalo. Yes, you have to see the video. No other issues. Okay. So in the whole menstrual cycle, there are 4 phases in the menstrual cycle. The first phase is 0 to 5 day. 0 to 5 day. What happens during this phase? Is a bleeding phase or menstrual phase. The second phase from 5 to 14. If 14th day ovulation takes place, 5 to 14 ki hobe? Pre-ovulatory phase, which is also called as proliferative phase. Also called as proliferative phase. And kaaj kor amar sathe start kor. It is also called as proliferative phase. Otherwise called as follicular phase. Otherwise called as follicular phase. Let's talk about that. Chalo. Okay. This is 14th day. What is happening? Ovulation is occurring in this during this stage. This is the third phase called ovulatory phase. Ovulatory phase. Okay. What happens during this 0 to 5 day? This is the first phase called menstrual phase or bleeding phase. Menstrual phase or bleeding phase. Or bleeding phase. Okay. What is the 5 to 14 day? It is the second phase called pre-ovulatory. Ovulatory period. Pre-ovulatory period. Or it is also called as, I said, follicular phase. Follicular phase. Ritam, tell me. Follicular phase mane kar kotha bolchi amra? Just now we have talked about follicles. The follicles are present inside female ovary. That means they are going to act upon, during this stage, the FSH is going to act upon the ovary, follicular phase. And also they are called as proliferative phase. Proliferative phase. Proliferation means what? Formation of new cells. And this proliferation is going to occur inside uterus. Inside the uterus. By the action of FSH? No, estrogen. By the action of estrogen. Estrogen helps in the development of the female body. Development of the female body. So along with the FSH, estrogen is also going to work to make proliferative phase. We will talk about that. আমরা এই তিনটে সম্বন্ধে বলবো. And after ovulation, the last phase is the fourth phase called post-ovulatory period. Post-ovulatory period. Post-ovulatory period, which is also called as luteal phase. Also called as luteal phase. Also it is called as secretory phase. Secretory phase. Clear? Varun, tell me, what happens in the first 5 days? What happens in the first 5 days? Consider, it's a diagrammatic view, fine. This is fallopian tube, this is fallopian tube, it is connected, this is fallopian tube, This is connected. Never draw this figure in exam. It's just to help you get an idea. Tell me, you can see the uterus, they makes this infolding, and these infoldings together makes what? Cervix. Clear? What is this? Fallopian tube? Now, fallopian tube. Now think about, this is ovary. This is ovary present over here. These are the finger-like projections called fimbriae. Finger-like projections called fimbriae. Last day we already talked about the structure of the fallopian tube. Remember? Yes, this is the part of the uterus which we call it as body of uterus, and this is fundus of uterus. Wow, you are clear? This cervix is vagina. Clear? Okay. Now, what has been formed over here? Graphian follicle. Ki thori hoche ekhane? Graphian follicle. Graphian follicle has been produced, and this is the secondary oocyte, which is in an arrested phase. Now let me tell you something. In a particular mother who is pregnant and is carrying a female fetus, inside the female fetus, when the baby is not yet born, she is having ovary or not? Yes, she is having ovary. The female fetus is having ovary. Inside her ovary, all these follicles, primordial follicles, they have come up to which stage? Primary follicle. And by the action of FSH, that's GnRH, it's going to change into secondary follicle. It's going to change into secondary follicle and remain in an arrested phase for till menarche. Fine? But do you think the same thing happens in human female fetus, male fetus? Sperm is going to get produced inside the particular centrous tubules? Never. This is the difference between female and male. Female body is to make a life. Nature has made the female body to prepare a life, to make a life called giving birth to young ones. So they have started programming all this when the baby is there inside mother's womb. Got the point? Clear? Now it's a very, very important thing. Now, see, Graham follicle needs to burst to release the secondary oocyte. It needs to burst. Wait, it needs to burst. Acha, during this stage, tell me the level of estrogen. Tell me the level of estrogen. The level of estrogen during this phase. Varun, tell me. This is the 14th day. This is 5th day. What is going to happen to the estrogen level? What is going to happen to the estrogen level? The estrogen level, the moment inside ovary, the Graphian follicle starts making in. This is the membrana granulosa. It is going to start making what? Estrogen. That means, and ये Graphian follicle बना किसके action पे? So FSH was high. During this stage, 0 to 5 day, FSH was high, or during 5, 6, 7, 8 day, it is going to be high. And if FSH is high, that means it is going to act upon ovary, inside ovary, and change the primary follicle into secondary follicle. Ankita, look over here. Book में कुछ मत देखो. Get this idea. वो एकदम कुछ नहीं है वहाँ पे. Okay. FSH level is high by the action of hypothalamic hormone. Tell me. GnRH. It is going to act upon anterior pituitary gland, help in secretion of FSH and LH. FSH is going to act upon, there are two particular sites where it can act upon. Adrian ball. কোথায় কোথায় FSH কাজ করতে পারে? একটা ওভারিতে, একটা ইউটারাসে। এখন কোথায় কাজ করছে? আমি ওভারি দেখাচ্ছি, at the same time it is also working in uterus. We have not talked about that. Clear? Now, so inside ovary, it is going to change it into Graham follicle. The moment Graham follicle is going to form, Graham follicle কি তৈরি করবে? Estrogen, 17B estradiol. That means the moment estrogen gets formed, estrogen is going to take over the function of FSH. एरपरे जा डेवलपमेंट होबे, इसके बाद जो डेवलपमेंट होगा वो कौन हेल्प करेगा? Estrogen. So FSH level is going to start falling down. It's going to start falling down. At the same time, if you see, the estrogen level was low, but now it is going to increase. So FSH এর রোলটা কে নিয়ে নিয়েছে? Now see the figure in your book. You can see the same figure being given. And in Viva they can ask you why FSH is coming down and why estrogen is going up. देखो यहाँ पे FSH ऊपर था वो नीचे आ रहा है, estrogen is going high. Estrogen कहाँ पे है? देखो यहाँ पे, देखते पाচ্ছিস? This is what? Durba. FSH high, now it's coming down. Estrogen is taking over. Clear? Wait. यहाँ clear है? Estrogen is going to become high. Now when the estrogen is going to become high, all of you look over here. When the estrogen is going to go high, high amount of estrogen, tell me the structure where from it is produced. Come on. Graphian follicle. This is Graphian follicle. So high amount of estrogen is going to get produced from Graphian follicle. High amount of estrogen is going to help in development of inside uterus. It's going to start making what? Proliferations of cells. Start making proliferation of cells. New cells are going to start producing inside the uterus. बोलो क्या कहेंगे इसको? What is new cells are going to form inside endometrium. প্রতিদিন এই কেসটা, হ্যাঁ, তোদের ক্লাসে খুব বেশি ফোন আসে। That means what? You're going to do something good. These are evil going on. Clear? হতে দিতে চাইছে না. It's not letting you to. So endometrium is the inner wall. So inner wall is going to get produced. New cells are going to proliferate. No. Estrogen. FSH has helped the formation of Grand follicle, or Grand follicle is now going to secrete huge amount of estrogen. না বল দুর্বা বুঝেছিস? প্রথমে কে ছিল? FSH. There was no role of estrogen because estrogen बनाने वाला स्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं बना. किसने बनाया उसको? FSH যখন বেড়ে গেল, Grand follicle তৈরি হলো, from secondary follicle it has now become Graphian follicle. The Grand follicle is now going to secrete estrogen. Estrogen is going to help in the proliferation of new cells inside the uterus. And this all process takes place where? During proliferative phase, 5 to 14 day. बोलो अंकिता, why uterus के अंदर endometrium wall इतना thickened बनाया जा रहा है? What is the expectations of the body? कि अगर life बने, अगर zygote बन गया, if the ovum is secreted from here, if the ovum gets fertilized by the sperm is going to come over here in the ampulla region, ampulla isthmus junction or 2n n plus 2n बन गया. तो zygote को support करने के लिए for implantation of the zygote ready कर रहा है body को कौन? Estrogen is making the particular what? The proliferation of new cells are forming in, but by the action of FSH के एक्शन के बाद ही आ रहा है ना estrogen? Yes. बोल, है टू क्लियर? Yes, very good. Now endometrium wall. इसके बाद क्या है? There is a muscular layer. Come on, tell me what is the muscular layer? What is the muscular layer after this? Myometrium. The muscular layer is now called as myometrium. And एकदम बाहर there is a connective tissues called perimetrium. बाहर there is a connective tissue called perimetrium. बोल, है टू clear? So proliferation inside uterus, follicular phase takes place inside ovary, all takes place between 5 to 14th day. And now what has happened? Graphian follicle is fully ready, but what is going to happen? As because estrogen level has gone high, estrogen, high level of estrogen is going to give a negative feedback. Is going to give a negative feedback. Come on, a negative feedback. Where estrogen is going to give a negative feedback to hypothalamus. GnRH is going to stop releasing, and this is called negative feedback. Bolo, what is the meaning of negative feedback? High level of estrogen is going to inhibit GnRH. Is going to inhibit GnRH. So think about it. GnRH if gets inhibited, anterior pituitary gland থেকে কি রিলিজ হবে না? FSH release হবে না. FSH release হবে না. But mind you, from day one, what is being secreted? LH. From day one, what is being secreted along with FSH? LH. Luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone is going to go slowly up. This luteinizing hormone is going to go slowly up. See, this is the luteinizing hormone. Okay, this is the luteinizing hormone. Say it is taking a peak on the 14th day, and this peak of this LH is called LH surge. It's called LH surge, and this LH surge is going to stimulate the bursting of the Graafian follicle. LH surge is going to stimulate the bursting of the Graafian follicle and help in ovulation. Help in ovulation. So ये LH क्या करेगा? LH is going to act upon this Graafian follicle, and the Graafian follicle is going to become what? The Graafian follicle is going to become, is going to burst, is going to become, it's going to burst, and the cells present over here outside it. What are the cells present? Membrana granulosa cells, thecal cells. The thecal cells are present over here. The thecal cells are present inside. The thecal cells are present inside. And what has gone off? Ovum has gone off. Secondary oocyte has gone off, and that process is called ovulation. That process is called ovulation. Now mind you one very, very important thing. So what is present over here? These are thecal cells present over here. Thecal cells present over here. Now LH surge has helped in ovulation. So ovum has come out. Ovum has come out. Ovum is going to reach over here. Ovum is going to reach over here. Hey, that ovum chole eschhe time. Ovum is going to wait over here. Say for example, there is no sperm present. There is no sperm present. What is going to happen now? For how many days ovum can survive? Ovum can survive inside the fallopian tube, especially in the ampulla isthmus junction. You should tell me. Fimbriae are finger-like projections, and you know what? This ovary, inside ovary, the bulging process takes place. So fimbriae can understand something is about to come out. It can sense. They have got receptors. The fimbriae, they have got receptors. Inside ovary, what is pushing up? The Graafian follicle is pushing up. It's ready to get burst. The moment it bursts, the fimbriae, by ovum aspiration, it sucks the ovum. It sucks the ovum, which we call it as secondary oocyte. So secondary oocyte ke tirni loe. And then it has to reach where? Up to the ampulla. Who is going to help in that process? Ciliated epithelium. Who is going to help in that process? Ciliated epithelium is going to help in that process. Cilia is going to push the ovum so that it can reach up to the ampulla isthmus junction. Ampulla isthmus junction e ovum ishe wait korbe for a sperm to come. And say for example there is no sperm which is reached over here to fertilize the secondary oocyte. Fertilize the secondary oocyte. কি দরকার? সারাটা তো ওয়েট করতে হবে। Is this clear? বাবা কোনো অসুবিধা আছে? দুর্বা বাবা বুঝেছিস? Now there is no sperm. What is going to happen to this ovum? Come on, what is going to happen to this ovum? What is going to happen to this ovum? Ovum is going to maximum survive for 48 hours and it's going to die. Ovum is going to die. Ovum is going to die. And mind you, who took all the preparations for zygote so that zygote banega और zygote को यहाँ पे implantation होगा? This particular endometrium wall. So they were ready. And what is going to happen? See. So this Graafian follicle got burst and it has formed into what? What is the structure? It's a yellow colored structure which is called as corpus luteum. The yellow colored structure is called as corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum, it's endocrine. It works as endocrine gland. 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 And it secretes what? It secretes what? It secretes first estrogen and second progesterone. And second progesterone. So corpus luteum is going to secrete estrogen and progesterone. This progesterone, what is the function of this progesterone? The function of this progesterone is to make what kind of blood vessels was present inside? There were straight blood vessels. Now, this progesterone is going to maintain high thickened endometrium wall. It is going to maintain thickened endometrium wall, and the blood vessels are going to start becoming coiled. The blood vessels are going to start becoming coiled inside the endometrium wall. Clear? And it's going to make the endometrium wall thickened up to 3 to 5 millimeter thick. 3 to 5 millimeter thick to support what? Pregnancy. For it is going to maintain, it is going to try to maintain pregnancy. What is the meaning of maintaining pregnancy? That means the endometrium wall is the bed. उस बेड पे zygote develop करने के बाद it should develop up to 9 months, 280 days, 9 months, 10 days, 280 days. So if there is a problem with this, if this particular endometrium wall cuts off, sheds off, then the baby is also going to come out, which we call it as abortion, miscarriage. To maintain that, progesterone level needs to be higher. Progesterone level needs to be higher. Clear? Progesterone level needs to be higher. And progesterone level is produced by corpus luteum. Is going to produced by corpus luteum. So corpus luteum बना के रखा है क्या सोच के? Information आएगा. There is a good news. है ना? Corpus luteum is a yellow colored structure. Yellow colored structure. Corpus luteum is a yellow colored structure which is going to give, which is waiting for the result. क्या result? अगर यहाँ पे if this particular zygote बनने के बाद क्या होता है बाबा? अगर यहाँ पे sperm आ जाता, the sperm would have been able to fertilize the ovum. Then it is going to make what? First one cell, then two celled, then if this is the first day, second day two celled, third day morula, third day it is going to make what? Morula. Fourth day it is going to become blastocyst. And what is blastocyst? Blastocyst is this. It is having, blastocyst is what? There are some cells, 32 cell stage, having some collection of cells called inner cell mass, and they have got a cavity called blastocele. And this inner cell mass are collection of cells, and we know that there are some cells of Robber which makes three germinal layer, and this last layer is called trophoblast. And this trophoblast can innervate deep inside the endometrium wall, but it is going to take place on the 5th day, and that is called implantation. So this protrusion, finger-like projections which comes out from the trophoblast, ये देखो, ये trophoblast cells protrude कर रहे हैं inside the endometrium wall, so they are going to get fixed and they are going to get inside the endometrium wall completely. वो अंदर घुस जाएगा totally, and that is called perfect implantation. But you know what? These extension of these trophoblast cells are now called as syncytotrophoblast. क्या कहते हैं इसको? Syncytotrophoblast. And it secretes a hormone called HCG. It secretes a hormone called HCG. What is the full form of HCG? Human chorionic gonadotropin. Human chorionic gonadotropin. And this hormone, it straight away goes, देखो यहाँ पे, it straight away goes over here. It straight away goes over here and informs the corpus luteum that it's a happy hormone, no? They are very happy. Why they are happy? Come on. Why they are happy? Zygote has been formed. So HCG is a happy hormone. It's going to give the signal to the corpus luteum. क्या बोलेगा corpus luteum को? It's the good news. All your plan has been successful. Done. Corpus luteum is happy. It is going to remain like that. It is going to maintain what? It is going to maintain its level throughout the gestation period. 280 दिन तक corpus luteum is going to maintain like that. To secrete what? Progesterone. To secrete what? Progesterone. So progesterone level high होने से क्या लाभ होगा? What is the benefit of that? Progesterone acts as a vasodilator. Progesterone acts as a vasodilator. That means if this is a blood vessel, if there is a huge amount of progesterone inside the blood, it is going to increase the diameter of the blood vessels. अब बोलो ज़्यादा ब्लड फ्लो करेगा कम होगा, ब्लड प्रेशर घटेगा बढ़ेगा, घटेगा, because this vasodilation has occurred. Vasodilation has occurred due to the functioning of progesterone. So inside this endometrium wall, बोलो क्या होगा? There will be more amount of blood flow. और ये जो this is the zygote. It's going to get implanted over here. Fine. So जहाँ से ज़्यादा blood flow होगा, that means nourishment बढ़ेगा घटेगा. Nourishment to this particular growing fetus is going to be more or less. But after some time, इसका function कौन करेगा? Placenta. Till the time placenta नहीं बना, who is going to give the nourishment? Blood vessels. That means this particular part of the endometrium wall of the uterus is going to get highly vascularized by the action of and ये पोजीशन कहाँ से बनेगा? Who is going to make this progesterone? Come on. Yellow colored corpus luteum. বাবা এইটুকু ক্লিয়ার? কোনো অসুবিধা আছে? So it's a positive case. We have found it. এই সব কোনো ঘটনা ঘটবে. All this type of things is going to happen if the sperm has been successfully come and fertilize the ovum. But if it is not there, तो क्या होगा? If it is not there, sperm यहाँ पे नहीं है. Sperm has not come over here. What is going to happen? Ovum is going to die. Do you think corpus luteum is going to know that? Ovum मर गया. मरने के बाद कौन फीड करेगा? Egg cell is a large sized. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि egg every month this particular female lays eggs, मुर्गी की जैसा egg ले कर रहे हैं. ऐसा होता है क्या? बेचे गए अच्छे मानुषेर डिम अनफर्टिलाइज्ड डिम. मुर्गी का अंडा क्या रहता है? फर्टिलाइज्ड या अनफर्टिलाइज्ड? कभी कभी खाने के समय सिंफुल होते हो लगता है, गिल्ट फीलिंग होता है. मछली का अंडा खाने के समय लगता है कत বাচ্চা হতে পারতো, খেয়ে ফেললাম. হুলো ফার্টিলাইজড না আনফার্টিলাইজড? আনফার্টিলাইজড এগ, সো নেভার রিমেন সিম্পল. হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, গিল্ট কনসিয়াস না থাকে আর কি. মানুষ ডিম পারে না তো what happens to the ডিম of মানুষ? হ্যাঁ, আরে এই ডিমটা ফার্টিলাইজ হলো না, তারপর কি হবে? What is going to happen to his egg? It never comes out of the body. It dies. And who is going to feed on them? Neutrophils, WBC. Neutrophils, they are going to phagocytose on them. They are going to feed on them. কি রে, বুঝলাম না. আদিয়ান বাজারে গেছে ডিম কিনতে, মানুষের ডিমটা দেখুন. Okay, Baba, clear? So that's it. So this ovum is going to die, and do you think this signal is going to come down to corpus luteum? Corpus luteum gets what kind of signal? Only from HCG. So corpus luteum has got no idea But what is the lifespan of corpus luteum? 10 to 12 days is the lifespan of corpus luteum. That corpus luteum का lifespan कितना है? 10 to 12 days. कब से secrete हुआ? आयुषी बॉल कब থেকে secrete হলো corpus luteum? কবে থেকে তৈরি হলো? After 14 days? কি ব্যাপার? কি হয়েছে? জিতে তো গেছে, আবার কি নতুন করে জিতছে নাকি? আইপিএল এ? আচ্ছা বাদ দে। ওকে, আচ্ছা দেখা all of you. ওকে বাবা দেখা। Now corpus luteum lifespan কত বললাম? 10. And it got formed after 14th day, and it is going to remain up to 28 days. That is maximum. So what is going to happen? Corpus luteum dies. If it dies, do you think it is going to secrete estrogen and progesterone? And let me tell you another thing which is not there in your book. It also secretes a hormone called inhibin. It also secretes a hormone called inhibin. So progesterone, high level of progesterone has occurred first initially. High level of progesterone तो यहाँ पे था, but what is going to happen after its death? The progesterone level is going to come down. The inhibin level is going to come down. The moment it comes down, what is going to happen? The moment it is going to come down, what is going to happen? There will be a new cycle. Why? High level of progesterone is going to induce follicle is going to induce GnRH is going to have a negative impact on GnRH. High level of inhibin is going to have a negative impact on follicle stimulating hormone. And mind you, the moment there is negative impact, again the GnRH is going to stop working. And it is going to give rise to another cycle. Progesterone level fall करेगा तो what is going to happen? When corpus luteum dies after 10 to 12 days, progesterone level is going to fall. The moment progesterone level falls, what is going to happen to the vasodilation? The blood vessel is going to get constricted. Vasoconstriction is going to occur. If vasoconstriction occurs, tell me, what is going to happen to the blood pressure? The blood pressure is going to increase. The dhakka will be high. The BP is going to increase. And if the BP increases, the blood vessel is going to burst. And this bursting of blood vessels is going to take place where? The bursting of blood vessel is going to take place over here. The blood vessel burst. What is going to happen? The whole endometrium wall starts cutting off. When it cuts off, the blood vessels are going to start oozing blood, and that is what is called menstrual cycle. On the 20th day, this is going to happen, and the menstrual cycle is going to occur. What is menstrual cycle over here? The endometrium wall has started crying in the form of weeping of uterus in the form of blood. Why weeping of uterus? It is not being able to make a life. Weeping of uterus, the other term for menstrual cycle is called weeping of uterus, because female body is meant to make a life. Is this clear? Why it is called luteal phase? Ankita Tudu, tell me, why corpus luteum? Why this particular phase? Why this particular phase is called luteal phase? Where from the term luteal has come? The term luteal has come from corpus luteum. From corpus luteum. And tell me, corpus luteum जब बनता है, it is going to help in what? Negative impact on LH. FSH and LH both got negative impact. What is going to happen again? Again, it is going to form into a new cycle. Is this clear? Is this menstrual cycle clear to you? Come on. Presence of HCG কত রিলিজ হলো? Where from it has been secreted? From no. HCG. Human chorionic gonadotropin. Come on. Human chorionic gonadotropin. It releases from syncytotrophoblast. Human chorionic gonadotropin has released from syncytotrophoblast. Fine. And this is the structure by which it gets implanted inside the uterus. inside the uterus. HCG is going to give a signal to corpus luteum. Also, it has got another role. In the urine of this mother, we are definitely going to call that she has become a pregnant one now. In her urine, the presence of HCG is going to confirm pregnancy test. It's going to confirm pregnancy test. Fine. So the urine of the mother, the first urine of the mother has been taken in that kit, and that kit is having HCG paper. The presence of HCG in the urine confirms pregnancy. But the best one is, the decisive one is in the blood, HCG level. If it increases inside blood, that is a confirmatory test of pregnancy. Bolo samajh mein aaya ki nahi aaya? Got the idea what is called implantation? For how long and what is going to happen? Progesterone acts as a maintenance of this pregnancy. It is going to remain higher till the 90th day, till the 280 days, which is called as a gestation period. So what is gestation period? The time gap between fertilization and parturition. What is parturition? The act of childbirth. What is parturition? The act of childbirth is called parturition. Bol, কোন অসুবিধা আছে? কোন অসুবিধা আছে? Sure, বুঝতে পেরেছিস? সাজিয়ে লিখতে পারবি? Just see the figure in your book. What is being given? Page number. Old book, no? Page 50, old book and new book কত? 34. Have a look. 5 marks confirmatory question from this area. Right? Explain the hormonal action of menstrual cycle. So you have to draw all this figure, and also you have to talk about the hormonal action. Full figure, yes. See what is being given. Hormone level, the first one, pituitary hormone level, FSH, LH. What you can see in the middle part of the ovulation period, LH and FSH, LH and FSH, both of them, they triggers up. है ना? Ovulation के समय 14 day में you can see a hike, but you can see two hike in estrogen. Ayushi, you can see 2 hike in estrogen. One hike in the proliferative phase and a hike in the luteal phase. Tell me why in the luteal phase, Adrian? This question is to both Ayushi and Adrian. Tell me, second hike ta estrogen holo keno? Why there is a second hike in the estrogen during the luteal phase? This is estrogen. This is estrogen. Estrogen goes up and comes down. Again there is a hike over here, and then there is a fall. Why this second hike? The second hike is corpus luteum बनने के समय what it has made? Estrogen again. And this is the reason why there is a second hike of estrogen. Clear na? Clear na? Ball बुझलाम ना? समझ में आया बाबा? Very good. ठीक है? और प्रोजेस्टेरोन क्या हो गया? प्रोजेस्टेरोन टोटली यहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ and then it falls. उसके पहले प्रोजेस्टेरोन का कोई काम नहीं था, because corpus luteum तैयारी हुआ पर प्रोजेस्टेरोन लेवल बढ़ गया and then it's going to fall by the action of what? The corpus luteum is going to die if it never gets any signal from HCG, from a HCG कहाँ से बनेगा? Syncytial trophoblast. Which day it's going to form? What is the day after fertilization that the zygote get implanted or the blastocyst get implanted? 5th day. Any issues with this? ठीक है? কিরে থাকবে এইটুকু? menstrual cycle complete হলো? বুঝা গেল what is that? আচ্ছা, in that figure you can see the first one is the smaller follicle called primordial follicle, then primary follicle, and then you can see a developing follicle which is called a Graafian follicle. It bursts due to a surge and then it becomes yellow colored corpus luteum. Yellow colored corpus luteum. What is going to happen to the corpus luteum after that? Yellow colored corpus luteum. Ovary. This is yellow colored corpus luteum. Come on, yellow colored corpus luteum, yellow colored corpus luteum, and what is going to happen after that? The yellow colored corpus luteum is going to die, is going to show a degenerative structure called corpus albicans, It's a white colored structure. And then it's going to even degenerate into corpus hemorrhagicum. Corpus hemorrhagicum. And it's going to get arthritic. It's going to get arthritic, called arthritic follicle, called arthritic follicle. Clear? Any issues with this? That's all for today. Menstrual cycle over. যদি কোনো ডাউট থাকে next day we are going to again a little bit of wrap up I'm going to make. See if you have got any doubt. Next day we are going to talk about a little bit of this, and then we are going to proceed into how the after zygote formation, how the fetal membrane gets formed. There are 4 fetal membranes. We're going to talk about that fetal membranes, how it gets developed. We're going to talk about that. যদি কোনো ডাউট থাকে নেক্সট ডে আমরা এটা নিয়ে আবার ছোট্ট করে একটু আলোচনা করে দেবো। ঠিক আছে, চল, দ্যাটস ইট, চল।